Though they try to keep up appearances, North Korea is known as a politically backward country with no personal freedoms or rights. The international community treats North Korea like a pariah, and it only has diplomatic relations with a handful of countries around the world. Because of its totalitarian government, there are numerous restrictive laws. Today, we are looking at things you can't do in North Korea. In North Korea, 3 generations of totalitarian leaders have ruled since the advent of the Kim dynasty. These rulers are referred to as "dear leader" and promote the idea that they were divinely chosen for their position. Thus, it is extremely taboo to disrespect any of these leaders, and the punishments are harsh. They even go beyond capital punishment. One of the country's most brutal laws is the 3 generations of punishment rule. If one person is convicted of a serious crime and sent to a prison camp, their immediate family can also be sent with them. Then, the next 2 generations born in the camps can also remain there. The edict was introduced in 1972 by Kim Il-sung and said up to 3 generations had to be punished to wipe out the seed of class enemies. Kim Il-sung, who founded the country and died in 1994, is often called Eternal President or Great General. Kim Jong-il is chairman or dear leader. Kim Jong-un, who took power after his father passed away in late 2011, may be called supreme leader or dear respected. One journalist who failed to add a title was quickly scolded. Please remember the leader. Always remember the leader. All North Koreans wear a pin over their left breast featuring the face of Kim Il-sung or Kim Jong-il, or both. The pins can't be bought by foreigners. The most common one is a shining red flag with the 2 men's portraits. But don't call them pins. That word undermines their significance. As one minder said after consulting translation software on his phone, they are badges. Although the North Korean constitution officially allows freedom of religion, the practice is very different. The state has a hostile approach to religions, particularly those it sees as Western faiths, such as Christianity. The nation's official ideology is Juche, a fusion of Marxism and Korean nationalism created by Kim Il-sung, and the regime views any practices outside this doctrine with deep suspicion. Those discovered practicing Christianity face arrest and being sent to a labor camp. As such, Christians are forced to worship in secret, and some don't initiate their children into the religion due to the risks. Historically, Korea had a large Christian population. Missionaries were active throughout the Korean peninsula when it was a Japanese colony prior to the Second World War, and around a fifth of its population was believed to be Christian. As many as 500,000 of North Korea's current 2.5 million population are estimated to still be Christian today. America and North Korea have a prickly relationship. They allowed very limited travel for a period of decades. That all changed in 2017 when North Korea made American tourists illegal. This followed the imprisonment and murder of American college student Otto Warmbier in 2016. Warmbier was scheduled to undertake a study abroad program in Hong Kong in early 2016 and decided to visit North Korea en route over the New Year period. He booked a tour of North Korea with Young Pioneer Tours, a China-based budget tour operator whose slogan is "Destinations your mother would rather you stayed away from." Warmbier's father, Fred, said that Young Pioneer advertised the trip as safe for US citizens, and that Otto was curious about their culture. He wanted to meet the people of North Korea. But things went awry, and Warmbier was arrested before he left the country. He was struck in the head and returned to the United States in a body bag. Few North Koreans have enough money to take a leisure trip, but even if they could, they are limited to North Korea. The government realizes that as soon as their citizens leave the country, they are liable to run away. Though North Korea has limited relations with China, North Korean citizens are not even allowed to visit their next-door neighbor. When the UN Security Council imposed sanctions against North Korea in October 2006, following the country's first nuclear test, among other measures, the body placed an embargo on the provision, sales, or transfer of luxury goods to or from North Korea. The embargo targeted the country's political and military elites, seeking to impair the opulent lifestyle they enjoyed as the result of President Kim Jong-un's patronage, and ultimately to create pressure on the country's leader to obtain sanctions relief by curtailing the North Korean nuclear and related missile programs. But officially, luxury goods like sports cars and jewelry are all forbidden in North Korea, though of course the Kim family has numerous exceptions. The North Korean government pursues illicit avenues to satiate the appetites of its top leaders, continue to develop Pyongyang's weapons programs, obtain currency, and strengthen the elite's allegiance to the Kim regime. One such way the Kim Jong-un regime achieves these aims is through the acquisition of luxury goods. High-end items such as caviar, wine, liquor, jewelry, and automobiles are acquired through third-party countries to fulfill Kim's penchant for luxury goods and bribe the upper echelons of North Korean leadership to maintain their loyalty to the Kim regime. North Korean elites have no trouble acquiring these goods as long as they have the money to purchase them. The international community has become increasingly aware of the DPRK's surprisingly easy access to these goods, as well as the regime's dependence upon these items to maintain stability and further its political objectives. Men and women in the hermit state have reportedly been given an illustrated guide of approved hairstyles, which have been deemed acceptable by tyrant leader Kim Jong-un. Surprisingly, however, none of the 15 styles appear to match Jong-un's infamous hairstyle. The leader's iconic haircut, nicknamed the Ambitious, appears to be off-limits to the general public. Finnish journalist Mika Mäkeläinen took a snap of two posters which he claims depict the allowed haircuts during a visit to Pyongyang to cover the Day of the Sun, which is an annual public holiday in North Korea to mark the birth of Kim Il-sung 105 years ago. Inspection units are being dispatched to public areas, one source said. With the approach of the 70th anniversary on September 9 of the founding of the North Korean regime, the Central Committee has given special instructions to root out non-socialist phenomena, such as fashion choices and hairstyles that do not fit the socialist lifestyle, the source added. Owning real estate is strictly forbidden in North Korea. In fact, private enterprise of any kind is officially banned in the Hermit Kingdom. Those caught face arbitrary punishment, even though the black market remains one of the only ways for people to get the food, medicine, and other necessities the government often fails to provide. In reality, officials will often turn a blind eye in return for bribes. In recent years, Kim Jong-un has reportedly allowed an increasing amount of unofficial private enterprise in areas such as mining, but any operations are still the property of the state. This unofficial economic liberalization has helped North Korea's GDP grow, although it remains only around 2% of that of South Korea's. Apple products and other Western tech companies are officially banned in North Korea. But like virtually every other law in the country, exceptions are made for the elite. In one of the many staged photographs of Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea appears seated at a desk beside what looks like an iMac computer. A fondness for Apple products among North Korean elites wouldn't come as a complete surprise. In 2015, researchers from Germany took a look at Red Star, the country's homegrown operating system, only to find that the design closely resembled the Mac's OS X. Television in North Korea is subject to the Korean Central Broadcasting Committee and controlled by the Propaganda and Agitation Department of the Workers' Party of Korea. A study in 2017 found that 98% of households have a television set. However, there are only 4 stations, and of course, they're all run by the government. North Korean won are essentially worthless, but officially you can't use any other currency. In reality, though, the ruling elite rely on foreign currency. US dollars, euros, Japanese yen, and Chinese yuan have long lubricated the isolated country's struggling economy, which has endured further blows from international sanctions imposed in 2017 and earlier this year to punish the regime for nuclear tests and missile launches under its illicit arms program. The foreign notes offer currency stability and a means for the regime to enhance its coffers in a country whose native bills, North Korean won, are relatively worthless and only used by ordinary citizens for everyday transactions inside the country. Birth control is banned in the country as dictator Kim Jong-un strives to create a bigger population of socialist workers. But businessmen and officials on trips to neighboring China are bringing back condoms to give as presents. Smugglers are also cashing in by selling them to prostitutes to prevent pregnancy and the spread of sexual diseases. Condoms are banned from manufacture or sale in North Korea and are blocked from entry at customs posts, a Chinese North Korean merchant who travels between the countries told Radio Free Asia. He said, "Condoms are very popular with both men and women in North Korea. North Korean officials bring them back home when returning from business trips in China." North Koreans are already forced to wear regime-approved hairstyles chosen from a state-sanctioned list of drab cuts. Now they have been banned from having piercings as part of a crackdown on Western culture in the secretive regime ahead of its annual workers' conference. The rule, which also forbids wearing Western clothing such as jeans, has reportedly focused on the North Hamgyong and Yangon provinces. The areas border with China, where citizens have easier access to information and cultural trends from the outside world.